Hello everyone. Today I will show you how to deploy the Spring Boot application into Deca. How you can deploy the application in a container and run it. If you all have seen my previous videos till the last video, all these videos you have seen. In my previous video, I have shown you how to deploy the jar or WAR file, the Spring Boot application as a standalone, and the Spring Boot application into Tomcat. If you have seen that, and also I have shown you, having a UI that will be basically hitting the REST API to fetch the information from the backend, as well as hitting the REST API to create records for the person. The same application today, I will create or make it Docker deployable. How you can deploy to Docker and run the application. So before going to the deploy it into the Docker and run the application, there should be one question: why we need Docker? What is the advantage of Docker? Right? See, Docker container, it helps you to create one environment, create an environment of your kind, your need, without any difficulties or without any problem. See, let's say you have a single laptop in your house, or you have a single machine, desktop or laptop, or a single system, right, computer, which you are using for development purpose, or maybe for coding purpose, or some kind of application development, product development. What happens now? Let's say you have multiple applications running in your you need to have multiple applications running in different servers, and you need to test the application. For that, you need an infrastructure, right? You can deploy all your application in your laptop, creating different kind of server like JBoss, WebSphere, Tomcat. I did it once, it's long back when I was working with Unisys in 2011, 12. That time I did it. My laptop, having only at that time it was 4 GB of RAM. I have IBM WebSphere running, I have JBoss running, and I have also Tomcat running. All these servers, they're talking to each other with different applications, SOAP-based web services, and MQs, ActiveMQ, Apache ActiveMQ. So all of them, they are talking to each other, and my laptop will be like pretty slow, because all the resources used by all these servers. But if you have a Docker, what you can do, you can create all these environment inside the Docker, and your resources will be saved. You don't require to install so many heavy server on your laptop, right? WebSphere, JBoss, Tomcat, not required to install. N number of environment you can easily create on Docker if your resources are available. Like if you have good amount of RAM, you can easily create a number of environment in your Docker. That time 4 GB RAM on laptop, office they used to give 4 GB RAM on laptop, and that is good enough. Nowadays, if you see all the laptops, they are having 8 GB, 16 GB of RAM, right? In offices, they are also giving 8 GB, 16 GB RAM. People need not to worry about the memory nowadays or the processor speed. Right? So, Docker is going to help you a lot in your development activities, right? So that is one of the reason why people Docker use. They can create a number of environment on Docker to test or to deploy their application in development phase. Let's go. First I'll show you the Docker environment. You To install Docker, go into Docker website, download the Docker installer for Windows or Linux, whatever you have, install it. After installing, you will have a Docker desktop client. This is what the let me share it. Uh, After installation, you will have a Docker desktop client, right? And this is how your Docker desktop client will look. First will be container, then will be images, then will be volumes, build. The time I have taken the build, all the build informations are here. Then Docker Hub, the Docker Hub, where you can download different images of like Tomcat, JBoss, all different images you can download from that. The Docker Scout, you have different extension for it. Now, basically, what we will look into here is container and images. Right? Once you install And if you don't configure anything in your Docker environment, Docker will by default, it will take the default configuration, and it will allow you to run your application. Now, first, what we need to do, we need to build an image, create an image for our application, and then we can go and run it. When you run it, a container will be created on this particular application. Now, one application is running. This it is running, right? Let me stop. All these are same application only. Personal information, REST API. I'm going to do the same application, deploy the same application for you to show you how you can do so easily. So for deploying, application in Docker, you just need to have a Docker file in your project folder, project root folder, right? So let's go to that, and I will show you a Docker file, how it actually works. So here, you see here I have a Docker file, right? Here I have a Docker file. So what is a var in Java application? In Java application, var is web application archive, right? And DR is when enterprise application archive, right? So here we will go for a web application archive, right? So let me open this Docker file in Notepad++. So let me open this command prompt, right? Now this is your, yeah, this is for the your work file, web application archive. First we'll go for the uh, our Java archive, Java. Then we'll go for what? Web application archive. Yeah. See, whenever you have a Docker file, whenever you have a Docker file, you need not require to you need not require to worry. Just if your Docker file is properly configured, it will take care of everything. If your Docker file is not properly configured, it will create some issue, right? Let me open it. You see, in Docker file, these are the statement. What are the statement I have written here? These are the statement which is going to execute, which is going to execute while creating the image, and while running the container also this will execute, right? So see, for my Eclipse, this is written, this is for the JDK. This is when this will pull this Eclipse to Meridian 21. This is basically the JDK, Java JDK 21 it is going to pull. That is the image of image which is Eclipse to Meridian image, right? That is from Docker Hub, it will pull this particular uh, image of Java JDK where the application will run. And then I'm mentioning what is work directory or app. What is the work directory of app. So let's copy, target. When we take a build, our archive folder, our Java archive will be always, or jar file will always get created inside the target folder. So that is the reason target this copy from to same the DOS command, DOS command or Linux command to copy a file from one folder to other folder. This is the same command here, same style you have to write. Copy this from this to this. So I'm copying from target folder to the app folder, work directory app folder. Then, when we build a jar, always you'll have a library dependencies. So that library folder also copy from target to app folder. Expose 8080. See, the Tomcat will be running on 8080 port. That is the reason here it is written expose 8080 port. This lets this port get exposed so that that can be bind to some other port, and then we can run it. We can hit the URL and get the application or access the application. The next is the command. What is the command should be used to run? That is Java -jar personal information REST API snapshot.jar. Whatever the application name or jar file name, you have to keep that. If you are running with a -cp command, class path command, you then put that also here. But here in my case, it is Java -jar and then the jar file name. It is Java archive file name. So now, before doing that, we need to do what? Before doing that, we need to build, or I need to build the project, right? So if I see before doing that target folder, in target folder, I have a war file that is the archive. So let me go and build it for the, yeah, for the Java archive. This is how, if you have seen my previous video, you know that I have a profile for jar and I have profile for WAR. That is profile for Java archive and web application archive. So I'm going with Java archive profile for my Maven build. So it is now doing a build for the Java archive, and the build is almost done. Once the build is done, it will copy the library to the library folders. Copying the dependencies. Yes, that is library folder. Yeah, it is done. See here we have the folder, library folder. Right. Why it is built here? Dependencies copy exist in destination. Okay, it is not cleaned actually. So let's go for a clean builder. Maven clean then package so that no confusion. It will clean everything and it will build. War is there, jar is there, you know. Yes, everything is clean. It's going to build again. So we should have only the jar file. Let's start copying, right? So this is how it is copied. If you want to know more about Docker and how to do more other things in Docker, always connect me, message me, mail me, or you can, some of the videos I've given my phone number also, you can call me. If you have seen my all videos, you can call me and I will be able to help you guide in Docker, in some other issues if you have or some other information need about the Docker. I'm just telling here the basics how you can deploy your application on Docker. Okay, by creating a image and container, how you can run it, how you can debug your application in Docker. Also, I'm just giving you that information. It's nothing, no in-depth knowledge about Docker, right? So Docker file is already created for the jar. This is a Docker file, and the statement is already written. I have already explained. Now I have already explained the statement. So let's go and do a build for Docker, right? To build a Docker, if you are confused, what is the command used? I have already, I have already posted this command to the Git. See, it's very easy, very simple command to build a Docker. It's like same only what do you how the way we do for Maven. npm haven't build. So same docker build hyphen t docker rest API. Basically the image name which you want to create, you have to give that here. I will just put it here like sample REST API jar to identify this is jar image, right? Sample REST API jar or person REST API jar, right? I will give that. That will be better. Person REST API jar. And just this, that's all. You have a Docker file. It will read the statements or commands written in the Docker file accordingly to execute. So let's run this build. Before running this build, let me do one more thing. Let me clear the screen so that so let's do a build now. Here is the build started. It won't take much time. It takes few seconds to few minutes. Depends on the resource availability. See, it started building, right? Docker desktop creating image. So first time when we build this basically take times little bit because it will start downloading artifacts. Now we're getting an image of Java, image for Java running the Spring Boot or Spring Boot REST API application by uploading a Java archive or a jar file. Jar is basically Java archive. Transfer of the content is done. Now transfer of the jar is done. Now it's copying the that is library to the Docker. The build is done. Now let's go to the Docker desktop client. You see here there will be a image. There is an image here. Person REST API jar. See, this is just created few seconds ago, right? Some seconds ago. Now click on this. You will see all the detail. The the way it has created the image. You'll find all the information here. If you click on that particular image file, and if you click on vulnerabilities and you want to do analysis of what kind of vulnerabilities your application can have, you can click on start analysis. Here you can go to the you know uh, here you can check your uh, details about your image. Now let's go to the container. If you see in container only we have this, right? If you see in container you have something called this sweet Goldberg or recursive Maxwell. These are the default name given by the container. If you don't assign any name for a container, this name will be given by the Docker. A random name will be given by the Docker. Now to run this particular, to run this particular this thing or create a container for this, how you can do, I'll show you that. Here in the same place, what you can do, you can go into command prompt, you write docker run, right? And then, then you need to uh, add it to the, if you are running from the Docker, I will give one situation what happened when I was running this application on the Docker with localhost. We have a we have a database configuration, MySQL configuration for this particular application where the URI has to point to the database of that particular machine by giving the machine name. right? So machine name was localhost, colon, the port number of MySQL, and then the user and password. So when you put it as a local host, what will happen inside the Docker when you are running? Local host will not be able to identify it, and Docker will not be able to connect your database. So what you need to do, either you have to give the IP address or you have to give the host name. So here what I have done, I have given the host name, that is my laptop name or my system name, along with the IP address it has, right? I have given both the name, and now I'm attaching my host name with that IP address. Then what I'm doing, this is a fast docker run, and the next command add hyphen add hyphen host. This is basically I'm saying this is the host name, that is Satya, and the IP address is this. Then minus t minus p is basically 8080. That is I'm trying to bind the same port of the same port which is on which the Tomcat is running, right? And when we run the standalone application, it will run on 8080 port. I'm trying to bind the same port, you know, of my laptop or to the Docker port laptop. Docker is another environment, like it's another environment, right? It's like it's kind of a virtual machine. So it will have a port that is 8080 port. When Tomcat or standalone application will run on Docker, it will run on 8080 port. That port will get bind to the port of my this external machine, the machine which is outside Docker, external machine, or on which Docker is installed, to that port of 8080. So whenever I hit 8080 port, I'll be able to access the application. Now, here what we are giving here at the end, we are giving the image name. It is person REST API jar, right? This is the image name which we created just some time back. So for cross verification, let's go and you can check it. See, person REST API jar. Jar is Java archive. Now let's go and install it here. Oh, sorry, run it. The command to create a container or run the container. So container is created. Container is going to run now. See, it's already command execution is done. Let's go back to the Docker client, desktop client. See here already a person, this is image person REST API. This image is created, and the name is Julius Westhoff. That's given some, they have given some name. So click on that, it will take you to the another page where you can see the logs. When the server start, the way the logs get generated, you will see that particular logs. Always remember, if you're deploying your application on the, if you're deploying your application on the Docker, you need to change the or your localhost to IP address or to your first name. Otherwise, it might throw exception. Now, this is the, I first will hit the welcome message to see the welcome message. This is the same application. If you are seeing my series of my video series, you will understand it very easily this. So welcome message is coming, right? So let's go and, let's go and hit the one of the user ID. See, this is giving 500 and unexpected error. So you can see it from the log of the Docker. So you know how to debug the application. That's how. Here you see this is throwing some exception, right? Java.NET connection refused. This exception I have done intentionally to show you how you can debug. See, this is here in the console log file, and let's go where else you can see the log. We are also generating our application log, right? You can always click on files. When you click on files, you'll find the folder which you have mentioned in the Docker file. See, here in the Docker file, if you go work directory /app, right? So this is the folder. So in container, you particularly on that container, when you click on files, you will see all the files of the Linux, the structure of Linux system, Linux machine system. You see the app folder. Inside app folder, you will see our log, app log and rolling file logs, right? Which I created in log4j2 XML. These are all got generated here. So you can open this log, by clicking there, by selecting that and then clicking on open file editor. So when you click on open file editor, it will open the log. Just go down to the log, you can little bit pull this guy up and then go down. You will see here the exception Java. net connection refused, right? It is also saying connection refused. You can clearly see this is trying to say it is not able to connect to your database. Could not obtain connection query metadata. See localhost, right? So localhost, if it is there, it will not be able to connect. You have to bind it with the localhost, right? So it is always better to bind it with the host name or the IP address. Now what we need to do for that? For that, I will go. What I will do, I will change the application context XML. You already know, or the developer, those who are developing, they know how to edit a jar, right? Or Java archive. Upon it, upon this archive in zip or 7 zip, usually I use 7 zip. Then go to that particular file where you have mentioned it. If it is a Java file, if you are using annotation way of doing, then we might have configured all this URL in the properties file or maybe directly on the class. So if you configured it in properties file, then change the values in the properties file. So here, what I will give the host name, right? And then save it. Now let's, uh, you know, build it again because you need to upload the changes to the image, otherwise it won't work. So I'm doing a build again. So this time build won't take much time. It will be faster than the if you want to identify the IP address of your machine in Linux, it will be in Linux it will be ifconfig. In Windows it will be ipconfig. So since this is mine is Windows machine, so I have to do ipconfig slash all. If you give ipconfig slash all, it will get you all the information of all these IP address. So you have to pick the IP address from your machine and add it there. So see, you will find IP address here. See, I will show you. Here you will find wireless LAN IP address, wireless LAN adapter. So based on the connection you have, you will have one wired. If you are connected to LAN wire network or RJ45 cable, you will find one connected IP address and one wireless IP address. And if you have virtual network, you will find one virtual network IP address also. There's so many Ethernet adapter. If you have, you will have many IP addresses. Choose the right one from your system and add it there. So now next is to basically you know next is to run this particular next is to create a run the container. Now let's go and stop that particular container. For better purpose, what I will do, I will clean this guy. I will create one more, and you will run when we run the command. It will create. Remain the command ipconfig ifconfig. Ifconfig is in Linux. Ipconfig is in Windows machine. So see, if you want to learn more about Docker, you can always message me, mail me. Now it is priceless. Now it is priceless. Something he has given some name he has created. So I will show you while deploying the web archive or WAR file how to give your name. This time I have not shown you so that you will know both the places. If you don't give a name also, there is no issue. It is going to do your job. It will give a random name from the Yeah, so this application started, in this log of this container, you can see it is saying server started Application started. Let's go and see the welcome message first, and then we'll read this URL fast. Okay. Welcome message is coming. Let's hit the URL of user. Yes. So see, this time it gave the data, right? This time it has not created any error for us because IP, that localhost, has been removed, and I have added Satya to that, my host name. So this is how you see the application. We are able to deploy the person REST API on that Java archive on Docker, and we are able to use and run it. Now to the let's go for the web archive. So to build the web archive, you know what the command we need to run. Maven clean. Here it is. Package and profile one. That is the web archive, right? Profile web archive. Maven clean package web archive. So let's run it now. Here also I need to change, since I have not changed it in inside the project. So after what I will do after once the build is done, we have web application archive folder or war folder. Then we'll go that war file. We'll go to that file and we'll edit it. Let's go to this. Yeah, this target folder. See, still I'm looking for a job, so that's the reason I have enough time. I'm just, helping the freshers or engineering students to know more than basics of S or basics of the, for full stack development, so that when they work in their organization or when they develop any project for their say, final semester, they will not have any issue. So here also I will do the same thing. I'll get into the war file, and what I will do upon the application context XML, edit it and save it. Let's see this localhost. So I'll remove this. I'll make it okay, right, and I will save this file. Yes. So when you are saving it in 7zip, you will see attribute A appended. So if that attribute is A, then you can understand okay, file is saved, and you can close this. So here again, what I need to do, I need to have a Docker file for the web archive or what. So see, Docker file of web archive. I will take it now. In Java, what is web archive, right? And here is enterprise archive. Nowadays most of the people are going with very secured application, like in some banking application or some other application. Still they are going with ER file kind of deployment, but because of microservices, many are going with jar and what deployment. So it depends what kind of security features people need, what kind of development they are doing, what kind of architecture they're using to develop the application or product. Based on that, they will have their war file or jar file or ER file. So see, always you need a Docker file for creating an image and container and running it on running it, or creating a container for that image. And Docker file will have a set of statements or set of commands, which basically while creating the image, the Docker will add it to inside it, and while running that container, it will execute accordingly. So see, from Tomcat latest, when you write Tomcat latest, what it will do from Docker or Hub, it will download the latest Tomcat, and on that I'm telling copy, copy target personal information 001 this war to USR local or local Tomcat this. This is the I'm saying this is the folder where Tomcat will have in Linux machine, right? USR local Tomcat. You can keep it here. You can change the folder some other place. You can keep it. So wherever you are keeping it, accordingly you have to write the commands here, right? And based on that, you have to copy this war file, right? This personal information REST API war file inside the web apps. That's how we do in our local machine. Here the same thing we have to do, right? Inside the web app, we have to put that web archive or war file and then we have to write startup.batch. If it is window machine, you can write startup.batch, or Catalina, simple Catalina.batch. So what will happen? It will start running Tomcat. In Linux, they also have startup.sh file or Catalina.sh file. This Catalina file is always involved from your startup.batch or startup.sh file. What actually startup.batch file will have? It will have, to configure the Java home and few other attributes for Java and then invoke the Catalina.sh. Here, what I am doing directly in command prompt, I'm trying to tell run Catalina.sh. Directly you run Catalina.sh so that Tomcat will start. That is the file which starts the Tomcat, because the instruction in that file are, the starting Tomcat server or the instruction to start the Tomcat server are mentioned in Catalina.sh. So this is a simple Docker file you are seeing for particular, deploying a war file on Docker. Let's go and do a build, right? Here, same way we have to go and do a build while trying to build a image, because everything it will read from the Docker file and it will upload the war file or Tomcat. And remember, the always you should give the same file name what you have in your folder. This is the war file, right? The same name. That name is also I mentioned here. That if you're changing the version number or something, you have to mention that. Now we'll do a build. See how Docker works. Docker works on virtualization concept. Like virtual machine. If you people don't know what is virtual machine, how it works, you can go for a basic thing. Go to VMware website, download VM Fusion or VM Play VM player, or something. There is something called VirtualBox. Also, you can download all these softwares, install it, create a image of an operating system of inside your laptop. You will understand how it works. When I was doing, we always in my engineering time, I didn't have any laptop or desktop, but I used to install in one of my friend's machine both Linux and desktop. While booting your desktop, it will ask you want to get into Linux environment or you want to get into Windows environment. So you select Linux, it will get into Linux environment. You select Windows, it will get into Windows environment. But now what you can do, because of this VMware virtual machines, you can directly install virtual machine in the laptop, and then on inside the virtual machine you can install an operating system of your choice. So here you see POC Java session. Oh, this is my folder path. So we have already installed, right? We have already installed, or we have already created the image. Let's go and see in desktop. Docker desktop. See, person REST API over. This is the image got created, right? This is the image got created, and if you click on that image, you can see the commands or the way it has executed, and also you can see if you want to check the vulnerabilities, you can always do a start analysis. It will check for the vulnerabilities. Now let's go to the container. In the container, if you see there is no container is got it created for that. Now I'm going to create a container, right? I'm going to create a container. See, while creating, while creating an image, command is always same. While running a container, the command is always same for both of them, right? So see here, same Docker run our host, the same thing. Here I'm saying port number 80, 80 and 80, 81, right? So I'll show you one more thing. You know, Here what I will do, I'll bind to this port number 80, 80 to 80, 81, right? Let's see. And I say hyphen name. So what I'm going to give this name REST API. Just simple, I'll give REST API, person REST API, right? I'll give person REST API. And here the image name. What was the image name? Person REST API web archive, that is where, and then done. Enter it. Error response from domain failed, setup content network driver failed, programming activity on endpoint person this is bind 400080 failed. Port is already allocated. Yeah, see this port is already allocated because this port is already allocated because this is previous to this we have already created 8080 and that container is already running. See, either I do this or that. It is not allowing me to use the same port number because the container is already running. You know what you can do while uploading. If you want to run the Tomcat in different port, you can always edit the Tomcat port and upload it, right? So not now to run this, what we need to do, we need to stop this particular container which is running for the Java archive. See, already the port is running, so you can do that. So here it has created this person REST API, but so it was not able to start. If you go to the, so if you click on this person API, REST API, it was, you will see, you won't see anything, right? You won't see anything. Now what you can do, you can always click start, or it's always better. I just wanted to create a situation for you, the error situation. That's why I've written that. So you need to be alert always. Whatever port you're binding, that port should not be used by any other container inside remember. Now let's delete this. Yeah, so let's run it again, right? I'll use the same port number, and maybe in another video when I'm showing how to deploy it in, how to run it with Kubernetes, that time I will tell you how to manage this port number also. How to, you can change the port number of Tomcat or your application while installing it on Docker. See, this is how the container now got created. If you go to the container Docker desktop client, you see person.REST.API container is already created and it started also. You know, before VMware, that's how we used to work. In desktop, we will install Windows and Linux, both, both of them. While booting itself, it will ask dual operating system, right? Booting itself will ask which one you want to log in, Linux or Windows. I used to install at that time. It was, I think, Mandrake and Red Hat. After that, slowly Ubuntu came. Ubuntu that time they're distributing that series, free of cost. If you go and register on their website, they will send you their CDs, installation CDs that time. Nowadays, it is everything is online. You go download and then you create a bootable file or USB, and then you install it. See, the server got started, right? And you know how to access web application from a Tomcat. You need application context, and application context is the WAR file name, right? So let's go and hit the URL here. So if I give only welcome message, what will happen? If I only give welcome message, it won't come. It will give error. See, because we need to have application context. Let me copy this file name. Without .war person information REST API, the whole till the snapshot is your application context name. See, now it came. Now after this, you have to give the same user ID, that API and hit. See, this is how it is coming, right? First name, last name, person ID. This is the same database, same application what I used and what I am showing from the beginning to till date. same MySQL database I'm using, you also can, deploy your application and run it, execute it. So see, if you need any more information about Docker, you need any more information about Docker, or you need any kind of any kind of yeah, I need to show something else before going to that. I just missed out. See, here also you can go and check your log files. Similarly, in that container, click on files, go to the uh, USR folder, right? Then inside USR you will have local. Inside local you will have Tomcat. Inside Tomcat you will have web apps, and in web apps, the application is deployed. The URL is deployed, it's deployed. And if you see here also we have the rolling files and app log file. Rolling file is basically, if the file size is some MB, then it will generate another file. And I'm keeping backup of 20 rolling files. So it depends on other configuration in your log4j to XML. And app log is a single file. Sometimes what happens when you keep a single file, the size will increase and you may not be able to open that file. That's why you always keep as a rolling file, and based on the sometime you keep it is based on the date also. So see rolling file dot log. I'm just selecting that and I'm going to open file in editor. See, this is status. It fetched from the database that value it was showing here. It is showing here, right? So you see, this is the information which we are fetching from the backend, and rolling file log also has the information. Now, if you want, you can also check on the app log. The same information will find. Now, whatever the console, whatever the log you are seeing in console, the same log will see in app log. Same log you will see in the rolling file. Right? See here also the same thing. Here the writing person, this thing, right? It is also same. So here, this is how your application is, and this is how you can deploy it on container, Docker container, on Docker, and you can execute your application. If you need more information about Docker and how to, play around with uh, Docker by deploying your application, you can always connect me on my mail ID, or you can comment on the video, or you can message me over the LinkedIn. And in some of the videos, I have shown my phone number also. You can call me directly. Anyway, so here, today here I will end my session. Thank you everyone for watching my videos, and give your comments. If you're watching my video, give your comment. How do you like my videos, or what you want me to, you know, um, explain. If you want me to explain some technology or something, message me on that comment. I will try to upload video for that particular technology. Thank you. Thank you everyone.